You're moving to the Tacoma area, chances are you've already heard the same recommendations over and over again. You have to look at Bonney Lake. Everyone loves Puyallup. Gig Harbor is amazing. And don't get me wrong, every one of those places has something to offer. But after touring homes with buyers, talking to families relocating here, and working in this market every day, I've realized something. Some places have become so popular that the price you're paying no longer matches what you're actually getting. At the same time, there are a few communities that almost nobody asks me about that I honestly think offer a much better lifestyle for the money. So today, I'm ranking the three most overrated and the three most underrated places to live around Tacoma. And before you jump into the comments, these are just my opinions based on helping real buyers every day. If you disagree, I actually want to hear it. I also want to make one thing clear. Overrated doesn't mean bad. Underrated doesn't mean perfect. Every place has pros and cons. I'm simply looking at one question. Does the lifestyle you get actually justify the price you're paying? That's what we're ranking today. So let's start with my first pick. Overrated number one, Bonney Lake. This one has exploded in popularity over the last several years, and honestly, I understand why. You get newer neighborhoods, larger homes, beautiful Mount Rainier views on a clear day, excellent parks, good schools. On paper, it's incredibly attractive. But here's where I think buyers need to slow down. What I call the commute tax is very real in Bonney Lake. Most people don't think about what life actually looks like on a Tuesday afternoon. If you're commuting toward Tacoma or especially towards Seattle, State Route 410 can become a real bottleneck during peak hours. Even shorter distances can take much longer than buyers expect when traffic builds up. For fully remote buyers, Bonney Lake can be fantastic. But if you're commuting several days each week, you're paying for those beautiful homes with your time. So, if Bonney Lake is all about newer development, University Place is almost the opposite. And that's one of the things that makes it so underrated. It's mature, established, quiet, and somehow it still gets overlooked by a surprising number of buyers relocating here. One of my favorite things about University Place is that it feels settled. The trees are mature, the neighborhoods have character. You're right next to Chambers Bay, one of the most beautiful public golf courses in the country. And the waterfront parks are incredible. The schools also have strong reputations, which keeps demand consistent. The homes aren't always brand new. That's a fact. But personally, I'd rather buy an older home in an amazing location than a brand new home with a frustrating commute. University Place truly feels like a small town, but in a very urban area. You have the library, which is great and a great center for the community. You have Whole Foods, you have Trader Joe's, you have all these great amenities, cute neighborhoods, lots of ability to be outside in the Pacific Northwest. I can't help but feel that University Place is very underrated for all the amazing things that you can get there. Overrated number two, Puyallup. I know this one's going to upset some people because Puyallup really is a nice community. The downtown does have charm. There are beautiful pumpkin patches. The Washington State Fair is a huge attraction. There are lots of shopping, dining options. The problem isn't Puyallup itself. The problem is expectations. A lot of buyers think they're getting small town convenience. In reality, traffic along Meridian can become one of the biggest frustrations for people who live there. If your daily routine has you driving through those busy corridors during peak times, it's something you should experience before making an offer. Again, Puyallup works wonderfully for the right buyer. I just think people often underestimate what everyday driving actually feels like. And when you're driving through Meridian every day and you're worried about the traffic, cams, speed lights, getting a ticket, or just sitting in traffic for way too long to get where you need to be, driving is a serious consideration when deciding where to settle down. Underrated number 2, Gig Harbor. Now let's talk about one of my favorite lifestyle communities, Gig Harbor. I truly love it there. People often assume Gig Harbor is only for luxury buyers, but that's actually not the full picture. Yes, there are incredible waterfront houses, but there are also neighborhoods where you can enjoy the restaurants, harbor, waterfront, and community without buying a multi-million-dollar home. What I love most is the lifestyle. Walking along the harbor, local coffee shops, water views, community events. It genuinely feels like a place people enjoy living, not just sleeping before work. I think there's really something to be said about Gig Harbor. When you look out the window there, you truly feel enamored by the beauty. And beauty is not everything, obviously, but the community itself is a really nice, wonderful place to live. And you're a little bit further away from those urban, dense centers. So you're really able to enjoy a smaller town, a smaller community, but still have access to Seattle, Tacoma. But do be warned, it does have traffic issues too. But I think this one, the lifestyle offsets the traffic concerns. Overrated number 3, lake taps. All right, this is probably the pick that's going to get me the most comments. Lake taps, let me start by saying this. I completely understand the appeal. It's beautiful. In the summer, you've got boats on the water, paddle boards, people out swimming, mountain views on a clear day. It's easy to see why so many buyers fall in love with it. But here's where I think people need to slow down before writing the offer. Not every house with a Lake Taps address actually gives you the Lake Taps lifestyle, which is important. That's the distinction. Some homes have private waterfront. Some have deeded lake access. Some are walking distance to parks or community beaches, and others really just have the same zip code. Yet they can still carry a pretty significant premium simply because buyers associate the name Lake Taps with luxury. That's why I always encourage buyers to ask one simple question. What am I actually paying extra for? Is it the view? Is it the lake access? Is it a private dock? Or is it simply the reputation of the neighborhood? Because those are very different things. Now, don't get me wrong, if you're someone who's going to spend every summer weekend on the water, maybe you own a boat. Maybe your dream is watching the sunset from your backyard. Paying that premium can absolutely make sense. But if you're mostly buying because Lake Taps sounds prestigious, I think there are other communities around Tacoma where your money stretches a little further. That's why it lands on my overrated list. Underrated number 3, Browns Point. So let's finish with my favorite pick on the entire list, Browns Point. Honestly, I don't understand why more people aren't talking about this area. In fact, whenever I bring buyers here for the first time, I almost always hear the exact same thing. Why have we never looked here before? And I completely get that reaction. Browns Point kind of flies under the radar. It's tucked away enough that many relocation buyers don't even know it exists. But once you're there, it starts to make a lot of sense. The first thing you'll notice is how peaceful it feels. You're surrounded by mature neighborhoods. Many streets have incredible views of Commencement Bay and the Olympic Mountains. Dash Point State Park is just minutes away. If you enjoy hiking, beach walks, or even getting outside, it has this quiet, established community feel that's becoming harder and harder to find. And what I really like is that Browns Point doesn't feel like it's trying to impress anybody. It isn't trendy. It doesn't have flashy new developments. It just quietly delivers a really enjoyable quality of life. Now, yes, inventory can be limited, but if you're looking for brand new construction with modern floor plans, this probably isn't your place. But if you value views, privacy, established neighborhoods, and being close to Tacoma without feeling like you're in the middle of the city, I honestly think Browns Point deserves a lot more attention than it gets. For me, it's one of Tacoma's best kept secrets. Now, if this were my money and I was buying a house, here's how I'd think about it. Because one thing I've learned in real estate is that there's almost never one best place. There's just the best place for your lifestyle. If I wanted the best balance of lifestyle, restaurants, scenery, and long-term desirability, I'd probably choose Gig Harbor. If having highly regarded schools was my biggest priority, University Place would be very hard to beat. And if I wanted the place where I think buyers are still overlooking the value, Browns Point would probably be my pick. I genuinely think it's one of the most underrated communities around Tacoma. Now, if I worked entirely from home and my priority was simply getting the biggest, newest house for my money, Bonney Lake suddenly becomes a much stronger option because that commute matters a whole lot less. And finally, if my dream lifestyle involved spending weekends on the lake, paddleboarding, boating, or just sitting on the deck looking out over the water, then lake taps might absolutely be worth paying the extra for. And that's really the point of this entire video. Buying a home isn't about finding the best city, the best neighborhood, the best town. It's about finding the place that fits the way you actually want to live. So that's my list, and I'm sure some of you completely agree with me, while others are probably already typing a comment telling me I got everything wrong. Honestly, I love that. Real estate is personal. Two buyers can walk through the same exact neighborhood and have completely different opinions. So now I want to hear yours. Which Tacoma area community do you think deserves more attention? And which one do you think is getting way too much hype? I read just about every comment, and I always enjoy seeing perspectives from people who actually live here. And if you're thinking about moving anywhere in Tacoma or the South Sound, whether you're relocating from another state or just trying to figure out which neighborhood fits your lifestyle, my mom and I help buyers do exactly that every day. We'd love to be a resource for you, so you'll find our contact information down below. If you found this video helpful, I'd really appreciate it if you hit the like button. It tells YouTube that this video is worth showing to more people who are thinking about moving to the Tacoma area. Subscribe if you want honest advice about living in Western Washington, and I'll see you in the next one.